Yeah, 40, ski, big home, Malcolm. One time.
So now that you understand how price is orchestrated, how it's moving, and for what purpose does it do that, we'll get into the purpose once now we start talking about pricing, like price itself. Where does it originate from? What do we understand about premium and discounts? How do they work? What is the mechanism? How does it connect to this particular three-step cycle, right? Because it connects as to why certain things are happening. So if you look at this particular model right here, you can see already it almost looks like Falcon, right? It almost looks like this is an expansion, a flag and a continuation. But what a lot of these guys are failing to make you understand is that these aren't what it seems. This is the algo accumulating, distributing, sometimes manipulating and distributing, giving you retracement or reversals, right? This is where most strategies are coming from, right? Even this particular pattern right here, let's say you are using SMC, for example, right? You're using SMC. SMC to me at this point is almost pattern trading, right? Nobody understands the narrative. Nobody understands delivery. It's almost like, okay, we're breaking the highs, we're chalking down, we're coming to sit on an order block, and then we buy. But as to what is happening behind that particular pattern, nobody's willing to explain to you guys as to why does price have to create a consolidation low, take the highs, retracement lower, use an order block to buy. You get what I mean? Nobody explains you, or no, this is a cycle. This is how this algorithm works. It gives you a consolidation, it expands as stage 2. It either gives you a retracement or reversal. Even order blocks, they get stopped out. Why do they get stopped out? I'm talking about something that sits here, right? It sits here where risk is very low, where risk is literally non-existent. It's going to be stopped out because the orders sitting below this particular consolidation. They will never tell you this, or there's sweep, there's draw on liquidity. Even if you do have an order block, you have a fair value gap that is actually valid. If price is looking for liquidity or is repricing, it's going to violate you. And then it becomes very difficult for you to understand the logic behind taking losses, the logic behind being on the wrong side of the market and recorrecting yourself in the right areas, right? So basically that is the 3 stages of price action and the way you could actually structure it. So how do I actually structure it myself? How do you come up with the formula that you can actually use to execute price action, right? How do you do that for yourself? The first thing is you need to create a condition, right? This is what you call a profile. You need to understand behavior, right? You need to study the behavior of price action. This is where now, using behavior, you're able to know which portion of price action you're supposed to be trading and how you're supposed to be trading it, and what are the risk and the reward that is actually involved with that particular environment. So this is where now we're talking about profiling. You need to understand the issue of profiling. Profiling is basically just understanding behavior, right? Market profiling is understanding how does price action move, and how does price action move comes with understanding what is moving it and why is it moving in a certain type of way. I'll explain the math, the price, and everything after we're done here, right? So profiling becomes your first step. You need to know behavior and conditions that you're going to be trading in. You don't want to be trading anything, right? The dangers of trading everything is you are literally playing with your accuracy, right? You can't get consistent results. You can't find consistency and risk to reward when you are trading literally the order block, the fair value gap, you're trading support and resistance, you're trading the Elliott wave, you're trading the quarters theory, you're trading all these theories that literally all of them, they resonate from price. Why are there so many strategies, right? The question you should ask yourself, why are there so many strategies but nobody seems to explain price action? But everybody has a strategy that tackles price action. Is because the fundamentals and the informations are missing, right? The fundamentals in the information is missing. So learning the environment, go study these consolidations, go study these expansions. Some of these things I talked about on yesterday's video, go check it out. I uploaded at the page today, right? Some of these things are very, very simple, even on the mind, right? Even the psychological part of it, it becomes easier for you to trade because you understand the whys. Why does the market reverse? right? You have reason and accountability. If you can't account for your losses, for your wins with trading, I'm not trying to allow trader blindly, because you don't know what makes you strong within the marketplace. You don't know what makes you weak within the marketplace. You can't take accountability when you take losses, right? Because why? You have 10, 20, 100 accounts that you could trade back to back and potentially make profit, but the actual trading itself is suffering in it. So, like I said, profiling, you need to find the environment. So the next stage of understanding this algorithm is learning to frame, right? Learning to frame. How do you frame? How do you take this information of profiling, this information of behavior, and actually put it into information, visible information, right? Visible information isn't like annotations. How do you annotate this particular chart to interpret it, right? To give yourself a body of work and say, now, these are the things that I'm going to be doing in order for me to look for an entry, in order for me to look for stop loss, in order for me to get the lowest risk as possible, get the most accuracy out of this particular step. So the second step is framework. So with framework, the first thing that I do with framework is very, very simple, right? I need to figure out multi time frame analysis, right? I need to find out which time frame do I want to trade. How do I want to trade? Do I want to swing trade, right? Do I want to be scalping? Do I want to position trade? Which type of trading do I need to do? And the information I'm getting back from the frequency, right? One thing you need to understand is that price action, when you are multi-time framing it, going top down from macro to micro, or from a high time frame to lower time frame, is you are getting feedback, right? From a daily candle to a 4-hour candle to a 1-hour candle. All these things are going to give you diverse information of which you can dissect and actually derive information from it. I don't know what kind of method of analysis do you guys use, right? You can use this frame to fit in pieces of meat into this particular framework. I don't know if you use Elliott wave, right? If you use Elliott wave, this is the same thing. You're going to need profiling, you're going to need framework, right? If you use support and resistance, you can be consistent with certain things, right? You're going to need profiling, you're going to need framework, right? So the second thing with framework is inner structure profiling, right? With me, since I trade the ICT methods, right? I trade ICT method, strictly ICT method, the smart money concepts, all right? So the inner structure profiling is one of the key elements that I use when it comes to framing trading. Inner structure profiling, I'm talking about lower time frame structure. Or, okay, what information, what feedback am I getting from my lower time frame structure, right? What information am I getting from that? And how can I use it to profile? How can I use it, this behavior on the lower time frames, to execute? Right? So if you're using support and resistance, you can put maybe support and resistance there. If you're using SMC, you can use your supply and demand, knowing that you are framing it in a way that you can interpret it in a systematic way, in a step-by-step process. You don't want to be changing it all the time. You're changing it all the time, changing it. No, you want to keep it the same. Why? Because if it gets better over time, you get better with your trading over time as well. But if you keep changing it and changing it, you're going to get different results. So it's very, 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 very difficult for you to like keep track of your own results, right? If you can't do self-analysis, or no, in the past 100 trades I took 60 correct and 40 correct, you can't tell your own feedback, then you don't know how consistent you are. This is where a lot of people are having difficulty with trading, because that the consistent traders, the guys who are actually making turnovers and taking successful setups, they're not telling you guys these things, right? Or they spend hours developing, they spend hours testing, they spend hours trying and failing until they get it right. Until once you are able to do self-assessment when it comes to trading, you're able to tell when are you getting better and how are you getting better, and other things that are lacking, you're able to like, you know, put flesh into it and actually make them better. But if you're going to be trading a lot of things, changing them every now and then, it's very, very hard to tell your own results. You get what I mean? So with me, yeah, inner structure profiling is one of the things that I actually use to tell behavior, to derive information from the markets with my method of analysis. So with this thing works with every method of analysis. You can potentially use SMC, Elliott wave, quarters theory, Falcon, all that stuff, all that good stuff. You can actually implement this formula in your own trading and actually put in the flesh so you can find consistency, right? So the first thing, since I trade the cycle, the third one is multi-touch identification, right? In order for you can't tell if the market is under consolidation if you don't have certain highs and certain lows. So this is very crucial to me, because this is the reset step, right? I need to know where my cycle 1 is, to identify where my cycle 2 might go, where my cycle 3 and 4 might do, right? So I need to have that multi-touch identification in my consolidations to confirm genuinely that I'm actually in consolidation. I'm not convincing myself. The thing with trading is information paralysis, right? You can know too much to a point where you can convince yourself that certain things are this way while they're not. So I need this 3-step process to guide me throughout this journey, because you are not a machine, you're not an algorithm, you're a human being, right? You're gonna need certain things that are gonna keep you away from being emotional, from being too psychological with the market, right? From being too optimistic with the market to a point where you are becoming dululu and convincing yourself that certain things in the chart while they are not there, right? You need something that is gonna ground you as a trader, right? And this is what I'm giving you guys, right? So that's the last thing on my framework, right? And the last step process to this formula is time entry analysis. So what are we talking about when you're talking about time entry analysis? So with boom and crash, I've tried to test it out in terms of time and price sessions, but New York or but London session, but Asia session. I try to, but it's not making sense to me, right? Since I moved from the currency markets, where time entry analysis was a very powerful thing, right? The reason why you need to do time entry analysis is for you to be inside the market at the right time. You don't want to be taking your trades prematurely, right? You don't want to be taking your trades prematurely and find out how these sessions actually did liquidity in this particular way. If I could have just waited to enter at SME open or lunch open or New York open, I could have gotten into a better entry even with less risk, right? So this is one of the things that you need time element to your trading. For okay, what times do I trade? Same thing with boom and crash. What times do I trade? Even though not directly on the chart, but also with your trading, you need to be well put together in order to, follow the mechanical route as an emotional being, right? You need to follow the mechanical route. Lower and it frees you from accounting emotionally and psychologically, right? It stops you from doing that. Frustration wouldn't be there because you would have reasons and why certain things happen, right? So you need to understand risk entry. You need to understand when you are taking the risk entry without confirmation, because as a trader, one thing I've learned, at some point psychologically you're gonna find yourself in positions that you didn't want to be in. So if you understand your risk entries, you understand your risky environment, just like I was talking about consolidations, where they are so easy to be wiped out. Whipsaw, we call them whipsaws. They're easy for sell stops to be taken, for buy stops to be taken anytime. Once you are aware of that and you're trading without confirmation, it's so much easier for you to accept the risk before it comes, so you don't have to suffer emotionally and psychologically, right? So that's one of the other thing with time entry analysis. And also exits. When do you exit? When is chai for you to get out of the trade, right? So with your method of analysis, there's always chai when to get out of the trade. I'm going to use Falcon for example, right? With 90% rule. Falcon teaches that 90% rule. After that, what do you call it? A channel, right? Which is basically a sideways consolidation or a trendy consolidation. They wouldn't call it that, but you know how people get when they're trying to make things theirs while they're not theirs, right? They won't tell you that's consolidation. They'll give you like, okay, now at the high of that consolidation, we're gonna go 90% rule, right? That's your exit strategy, right? With ICT itself, he will tell you the nearest high of liquidity or nearest buy stops or sell stops. Your low hanging fruit it becomes your exit, right? You need something that is going to take you out the trade. You need criteria that is telling you now this trade is no longer invalid. So in order for you to exit, you need to see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You need to see price not respecting PDRS anymore in your opposite direction that you're trading in, right? You need to see the threshold of your order block being violated. If you're trading propulsions, you need to see the first propulsion candle being traded over 50%. Then you know this trade is invalid at this point, right? So profiling, framework, time entry analysis. Simple, right? So when you go home, you are gonna go under profiling and see what kind of behavior do I trade, right? Is it correction? Is it impulse? Is it a reversal? Which portion of this cycle am I trading? That becomes your profiling. And then whatever strategy or method of analysis that you're going to use to dissect this price action, you're going to fit those into those particular sections, right? And then the second part of this formula is framework, right? You're going to need technicals. You're going to need technicals. You're going to need to draw. You're going to need multi-time frame analysis. You're going to need high time frame analysis. You're going to need order flow, right? These are is your toolbox. Is your toolbox, or okay, I have a car with me here. How do I take it down? Right? I'm going to need a wheel span. I'm going to need 1, 2, 3. I'm going to need 1, 2, 3. These are the tools that helps you interpret profiling, behavior, and nature, right? And then after you have already done the work, you're gonna need to go to the last portion, which is now both profiling and framework, the equal time frame analysis, right? You have made the work, you have seen the behavior. How are you gonna risk? Because now you are exposing your account to the marketplace, right? How are you gonna risk? How much are you willing to risk, right? If at all you motole risk management, it's okay, bro. Risk go 2%, go 3%. If that works for you, that works for you. Sometimes we sometimes we trade with full margin. You know, high risk trading is a skill as well. Once you expose your psychology to high risk trading, you will get to learn. Your body get to adjust. You develop new neural path in how to deal with risk. You know, just because I'm risking 90% of my account, that doesn't mean I'm reckless. Calculated risk is better than blind risk, right? So nobody's better at the end of the day. You choose what is comfortable with your subconscious. You get what I mean? So how you are risking, how you are getting out is the most powerful thing, because that's the distance between consistency and profit, right? Or being a break-even trader. Being consistent doesn't mean you are profitable. You could be consistent with 10 trades in a row, but if you don't know how to manage them with exit, or you tell out already break even, you get stopped out in the process. So this helps you find the consistent trade. You only need one setup, right? It helps you find that one setup that you are very comfortable with, and then once you can find that one setup that you're comfortable with, you're gonna know how to behave. You're gonna learn how to behave while that setup plays out. You're gonna learn that setups when it's playing out, or how does it play out. You need to see this 1,000 times. Nigga. You need to put in hours into understanding your setup. Or okay, setup I take in when this when this happened, that means probability is low, or when this happens, this means probability is very high, which means I can hold this trade to TP, or I can exit here because behavior has changed, right? So basically, this is what I'm here to show you guys, right? Once you are able to frame your strategy, the only thing you just need to do now is feed it with information. And after you feed it with information, everything else becomes psychological and emotional, right? And then once you are able to deal with your psychology, with your emotions, this is when you get introduced to mechanical trading as a human being. Everything else becomes so simple. This is why it seems like sometimes, you know, sometimes when we're managing accounts and people are losing accounts, people get mad, but is because you as a person, you haven't learned to deal with money mechanically. As losing $1,000 account, it doesn't mean anything. Yes, it's gonna hurt a bit, but for the sake of moving forward, dealing with it becomes so much easier, because now you understand why you took loss. You understand why you're a high risk trader. You're gonna lose a lot of money trying to make a lot of money, right? By the way, this is not financial advice. I am not in no way close to being a financial advisor. This is all for educational and entertainment purposes only. You know, you gotta put the disclaimer out there, you know, because you can get into trouble coming here and making such bold statements about finance. You know, it's so easy for people in power to ask you, hey, look at right now, what did you do for this kind of information that you're telling me people? You know what I mean? So basically, guys, this is what I was talking about. And once you are able to maneuver a very mechanical trading process, this is not even a trading plan, right? It's a formula on how to formulate a proper mechanical trading plan, and this comes with understanding the basics. So if you're just joining us now, this video is going to be uploaded on the page. What I was talking about yesterday with order flow and entries and all that stuff, I have uploaded it to the page. So go to the page, check it out, and then you can also use this information as well. So I'm just going to be talking about random things, like random things every now and then, just to give you guys, the public, a light into this thing, because this thing has a wrong narrative outside. Oh, hey, forex is a gamble, forex is that, forex is that. But what people are failing to understand is that nobody's willing to talk about these things. Nobody's willing to inform, or this is an actual thing that professionals who are actually doing this thing for life and it's being done this particular way. You get what I mean? So basically, if you can't see the liquidity or the liquidity, dead on, bro. Dead on. Like, but I'm gonna edit this and then upload it to the page. And you can watch it at your own time, or you can rewatch the live video. But I was doing a screen record while I was talking with you guys, so you can go check it out. You can go check it out. Hey guys, the market don't move like liquidity. The market is the liquidity. This is the most liquid market in the world. 7 trillion is not a joke in a day, right? It's difficult, but when are you gonna have access to millions? When are you gonna have access to millions, bro, without having to be questioned or no, what are you doing? Nah, this is years for everyone to liberate themselves. If you can find a way to get to these millions using trading, then let's go, because that is just money you are being given, or you have access to it. If you can take it, then let's see you man up and take it. There is nothing painful like getting all these things right and losing a trade, then takes them. Yeah, it's painful. It happens to the best of us, dog. I guys, the only way for me to explain these things better and just, it's English. My Setswana is very terrible. I have a very weird accent. Not weird though, I just have an accent basically. You know what, it makes it very hard for people to hear me. Manipulation, but always enter market when there's distribution in the direction. Exactly, Papa. Well, if you don't understand how the cycle moves and get stopped out, you're gonna find everything else to blame except yourself for not knowing. You get what I mean? That's why traders lack accountability.
Yeah.
Traders lack accountability. Like, why wouldn't you just accept the fact that what you didn't know and now you know? You're gonna start calling everything else manipulation. That's wild.
One time,
That's wild.
let go.
Is it? Is it? Did it really?
Yeah. I grab my Glock from the dresser and I put the game under pressure. Winning with every measure and I watch the haters get lesser. I'm an original flexer, these niggas ain't even a factor. She say I'm sweeter than nectar, I pull out my dick, it affect her. I'm blessed to still be alive, shout to the ones in the sky. Promise one day I'ma rise, they tryna see my demise. Claiming they with us a slice, but boy you ain't one of the guys. It doesn't hurt you to try, that is a word for the wise. Pass me the key to the safe, pass me the key to the bank. None of these niggas relate, my team is top in the ranks. Focused on righting my wrongs, I need the pace to be blank. I don't need homies or bitches, I just need to roll up a dank. They throwing shots on the vlog, I just hope